Hello, and thank you very much for expressing an interest in our range of CPD presentations. I'm Steve Bishop.
Hi, I'm Dan Wells. Spirax-Sarco is a global organisation with our headquarters here in the UK, and we're also a FTSE 100 organisation.
So here in the UK and Republic of Ireland, we're a team of around about 200 strong, working with you and your clients to support you on steam system design wherever you may be working.
We've also got a number of different resources that are available to assist you with online. Steam's used in a very wide and diverse range of applications and for a number of different industries, ranging from the food, beverage, pharmaceutical, to the healthcare and oil and gas industries. We have a number of different CIBSE and Engineers Ireland certified CPD presentations, ranging from steam fundamentals all the way through to steam quality. Each of our presentations typically lasts 60 minutes, including any questions and answers that there may be, and they can be presented at your own facility or offices. Today, we're going to present a taster on our introductory topic of steam fundamentals.
So one of the first considerations that we need to give thought to is we need to make sure we think of steam and steam systems as a closed loop system. We're generating steam typically in a fire tube boiler, having used make-up water. That steam is being distributed around the system and consumed or used in the various processes. Hot water is being generated as a byproduct of that heat exchange process, and we need to return that back to the boiler house for reuse, which is why we need to think of our steam system as a closed loop system at all times. So steam has some unique properties that bring significant advantages to us when we're utilising its thermal energy. Firstly, it's a compressible gas. That means we can generate and distribute steam under pressure and do so in a much smaller infrastructure than would otherwise be required by, for example, a liquid-based system such as hot water or thermal oil. Steam also possesses a direct relationship between pressure and temperature, as long as we maintain dry, saturated steam. In other words, we can control the temperature of the steam at the process through a simple two-port valve by regulating the pressure. We also know that steam has a very high heat density. The amount of heat energy we can deliver to the process is significantly higher than with a liquid-based system due to that latent heat energy that's contained within the steam vapour. Typically, that difference would be anything up to 50 times the amount of heat energy that we might find contained within, for example, a hot water system. So we also know that steam flows due to a pressure drop at the process. In other words, we don't need distribution pumps in order to circulate steam around the system. And we also don't need to divert away excess thermal energy from the process, like we would with a liquid-based system, for example. We also know that because steam is a gas, it fills the heat transfer space in a very uniform manner. That means it transfers its heat energy very evenly across the heat transfer surface. We don't get those cold spots, striation, and other process temperature issues that we might experience with a liquid-based system like hot water, for example. Steam also has a very high heat transfer coefficient. In other words, the rate at which it transfers that heat energy is very fast compared to a liquid system, as much as 2 to 3 times as fast, in fact. And we also know that steam transfers that heat energy through the latent heat energy that it gives up at the process. And it does that through the process of condensation at a constant temperature.
So the slide that we can see at the moment is perhaps the single most important slide concerning steam engineering. Over towards the left-hand side of the screen, we can see what we refer to as the steam tables. Over towards the right-hand side of the screen, we can see what we refer to as the temperature enthalpy curve. If we start off with the steam tables themselves, the first column that we can see, moving from the left-hand side, is what we refer to as the steam pressure. Now that can be the pressure that the steam is generated at, that the steam is distributed at, or the pressure that we're condensing the steam at the point of use. The next column, that shows us the temperature. And if we use the example of generating steam at 0 bar gauge, we should remember from our school days that the boiling point of water at 0 bar gauge is 100 degrees. That tells us that the pressure to temperature relationship of steam is exactly the same as the boiling point of water. The next column, that shows us the enthalpy of water. That's the energy that we need to put into the water to bring it up to boiling point. In the case of generating steam at 0 bar gauge, where the boiling point is 100 degrees, it tells us that we need to put 419 kilojoules of energy for every kilogram of water we want to bring up to boiling point. That gives us boiling water. We actually want steam. So the next column across, that shows us how much energy we need to put into the water in order for it to fully evaporate and produce a mass of steam. The next column across, that shows us the total heat energy contained within that kilogram of steam. And in the case of 0 bar gauge, the total heat energy contained within that kilogram of steam will be 2,676 kilojoules. And finally, we have the volume. And that tells us the volume that that kilogram of steam will occupy if we know the pressure. So when steam condenses, it gives up the enthalpy of evaporation. It gives up the energy that we added to the boiling water to make it change state. We can refer to that as the latent heat energy. We can also refer to that as the useful heat energy. Therefore, the energy that is held back in the resulting condensate is exactly the same amount of energy that we put in the water to bring it up to boiling point again. So with the vast majority of steam systems, we want to generate steam at a higher pressure. For example, 10 bar gauge. At 10 bar gauge, you can see that the boiling point of the water is significantly higher. We've got to put more energy into the water to bring it up to boiling point, but we need to put less energy into that boiling water to make it evaporate to produce steam. The steam will have more total heat energy contained within it, and it's going to exist at a smaller volume. So the steam table should be considered the cornerstone of all steam engineering. This shows us how we go back to first principles with our design. However, we've also got those useful configurators and calculators available on our website that can assist you with that information. If we move across to the opposite side of the screen, you'll see what we refer to as the temperature enthalpy curve. And this plots the journey that water takes as it changes state from a liquid to steam as a gas. You'll see that water will only boil once we've added that enthalpy of water. And it's only once we've added the enthalpy of evaporation that that boiling water will fully evaporate to produce a mass of dry saturated steam. And that's critically important. We want to ensure the steam is as dry as we possibly can, because the drier the steam, the more energy there is going to be contained within that steam. Dry steam also means that we're preventing issues such as erosion, corrosion, water hammer, and it also means that we're distributing the steam as efficiently as we possibly can from an energy perspective.
Another graphical representation that's helpful to us is the steam saturation curve and the pressure-temperature relationship, as shown on the screen. What we can see from this is that pressure-temperature relationship that's shown in the steam tables for us is plotted on the steam saturation curve. That steam saturation curve really describes dry, saturated steam. And there's two key areas of that chart that we need to consider. On the line is the point at which dry, saturated steam exists, and when it gives up its latent heat energy, that's the point at which condensate will be formed. Anything below that curve represents wet steam, where we haven't got the full energy content. And that's going to be more difficult for us to control through that simple two-port valve. Above that dry saturated steam curve, that's the superheated steam region. Too much heat energy in our steam vapor, and it's not going to condense so easily. It's not going to give up that latent heat energy and will be less useful to us at the process. So we can almost think of the steam saturation curve as our steam quality line. That's the quality of steam that we should be aiming to generate and distribute so that we can usefully use that heat energy at the process and maintain our distribution network in good condition. So hopefully today, with the short glimpse that we've given you of our steam fundamentals presentation, you'll have got an appreciation of why we need to think about steam quality, the way that we generate steam, and the fundamental principles of heat transfer associated with steam that make it such a useful thermal transfer fluid. If you'd like to see the rest of the Steam Fundamentals CPD presentation, or indeed explore any more of our CPD presentation topics with the range of interesting and informative sessions that we have available, we'd be delighted to present those for you, either in person at your offices or via Microsoft Teams. So please do get in touch.